Hey everyone, welcome back to Cooking with Calvin. Today we are doing a very special treat with a little bit of a twist. What we want to do today is make a flavored marshmallow. It's getting colder in the season, so now it's the perfect time to do some bonfires, toast some marshmallows, make some s'mores. And this is like a really fun twist to do it with. And it's really easy. So the main things that we need are we're going to get a cup of corn syrup. We want just a dash of kosher salt. We want a little bit of vanilla. We also want 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1 cup of ice cold water, and then you're going to grab a couple packs of gelatin from your grocery store. That's where the flavor comes into it. So I just grabbed strawberry gelatin. You grab any flavor you want. Just stay away from the sugar-free varieties. So what we want to do is first we take half of the ice cold water is going to get mixed with the gelatin mixture right there. You don't even have to do that much with it, just pour it into there, shake it around a little bit, and then we are going to put that off to the side in the mixer and wait. So now, disclaimer, this is a very dangerous part. We are going to heat everything onto the stove. Get a thermometer if you have a candy thermometer. And we're going to heat everything up to 240 degrees on there. So just be careful with those sugars and everything that you're going to have. So now, everything else that we have left, besides the vanilla, is going straight into this pan over here. Once we have everything into there, we'll start the flames up, but we don't want to do it too soon. Sugar does burn very fast. So you're going to want to go with a light corn syrup, all the different varieties. The last thing that goes in is that water. Get the heat going. And now before everything gets hot, we want to mix it together. This is very similar to when we did caramel sauce. You don't want to, once it gets to a certain temperature, you don't want to keep stirring it. Otherwise, unless you're trying to make rock candy, that's kind of how you do it. So before everything gets hot, you get it all mixed together. Tap that off, and then we walk away from it. So we're going to give it 3 to 4 minutes on high heat. It'll get up to temperature, and that's kind of when we start watching it. It'll go for the 3 to 4 minutes. We keep our eye on it. Probably around minute 6, we'll temp it. We'll see where it's at, and the second that it hits 240 degrees, take it right off. So we're at about the 3 to 4 minute mark right here. And as we can see from this, so one side of the pan is getting a little bit hotter than the other. So the most movement that we're going to do is kind of swirl it around like this. You don't want to actually put anything into there to stir it, because that's when you start to destabilize the crystals that are forming with the sugar. So now we can kind of come in here. We have our thermometer. What we're doing is we're going in between the surface and the pan. We're not touching the bottom of the pan because that's going to give us a not accurate reading of what the actual temperature is. Right now we're at about 222, so we got 18 degrees to go. So we just let it cook away for a little bit longer. Should just be another minute or two. And we're going to kill the heat right away. Transfer, start mixing with all of the gelatin. All right, so we're at 240. You want to kill the heat. We want to get something to the counter so that we don't burn anything. And now, okay, so we have, if you have a whisk attachment for your stand mixer, that's even better, but we can go with this. It's going to achieve the same thing. We just want to get a high whip on it. So we want to gradually, I'm going to explain this whole thing because I don't want to talk over you know, this thing is ancient. It's going to be very loud. So I'm not going to talk over it. So I'll explain all the steps to you. So we have the water and the gelatin in there. We want to start at a 1 very low speed, and we want to slowly incorporate our syrup mixture into our gelatin mixture. We add it all at once, it's going to be too high of a temperature and the gelatin will set right away and we're not going to get what we want. So we gradually introduce this to that, and the two make a lukewarm temperature. The second that we have all of this gradually added into there, we put it as high as it can go, and then we're going to whip it at a very high speed. For once you put it on the high speed, it should take about 15 minutes, give or take. And with the whisk attachment, it's a little bit faster, but about 15 minutes. And yeah, so let's get into it. All right, so we've been beating this for about 13 minutes, and we can see it's a much lighter color right now. There's actually a lot more in there because it's all whipped up and it's got aerated. So for the last couple minutes, we just want to add in our vanilla, and then start it right back up on highest speed that it can. It's gonna go for a couple more minutes, anywhere between like 3 to 5 minutes. We're just looking for the right consistency now. So let's start it. All right, so we're at the end. It took about 4.5, closer to 5 minutes, but we are getting the right consistency. We're getting it nice and thick, but we're also looking at the peaks that are forming as it's drizzling down. We want it to form a pretty solid peak and then melt away, but we want it to be able to maintain itself for that like 2 to 3 second timeline. So that's what we're getting there. So now what we want, we have our baking tray of choice. It's not going to get baked. We sprayed it down with oil, and then we have a mixture of half confectioner's sugar and half cornstarch. What we want to do is just sprinkle it around here. We don't want to use all of this because this is going to come into play later on in the recipe. So we want to make sure everything's just doused on the bottom. This is going to ensure that A, nothing sticks, and B, the cornstarch actually draws some of the moisture out as well and gives you that kind of outside texture that you're looking for in a marshmallow. So, gotta get them out there, scrape out the excess, make sure you get your counter all nice and dirty from everything. And we're gonna scrape that right into there. Now you could also just take this, put it into a jar, and now you have flavored fluff that you can start to put on peanut butter sandwiches. Getting out all that we can. Put that to the side. We just want to make sure all even. And of course, it's going to stick to whatever you're spreading with. So now that we just about have it, we're gonna do the same exact thing, spread it all over the top. So you leave it uncovered, and you have to exhibit the most self-restraint you've ever had in your life, because now you have to let this sit for 4 hours. But I usually let it just sit overnight. So put it into a safe place. Maybe one that you won't be staring at it every time you walk past it, so you don't feel the need to keep taste testing it. And we're gonna leave it there, leave it uncovered, and then we'll get back to it in the morning. All right, here we are. We've let it sit overnight. So now what we wanna do is kind of just loosen up the edges over here. And then we don't want to take the whole thing out at once. It just makes it a little bit less manageable. What we're gonna do, we're gonna cut it into sections. So you want to cut it into about 8 equal pieces. And take that. And what we're gonna do is get one of these sections out. Get right onto the cutting board. Now we have a pizza cutter, and we have our confectioner sugar and cornstarch mixture. So what you want to do to make sure nothing sticks is coat that, and we're going to cut it into strips. All right. You can really, I mean, cut it whatever size that you want, whatever shapes that you want. Don't press them together. You're just gonna go straight down like this. Then we're gonna get, once we've cut everything up, we're gonna get it all into a bag, put the rest of our confectioner sugar and cornstarch mixture into there, shake it all up so that everything's coated. And that's it. You're ready to enjoy it. You can leave it there. I mean, should be good for up to 2 weeks. Just leave in your cabinet. But yeah, the best is to enjoy them nice and fresh. So there you have it, and we'll see you next time.